Hello, everybody. I am Keaton, and this is Kid Catholic Season 12, Episode 16. I hope that you all are having an absolutely wonderful Tuesday so far as we're going down to the end of the school year, have graduations coming up, summer plans just around the corner. So I hope that you guys are having as minimal a stressful end to your school year as possible. Now, here's the deal. Today, and I know that I've made a lot of videos on abortion. What I will say is I'll preface this once again with this might be for some older audiences as compared to others of my videos. So if you're watching this as a family, maybe just the parents watch it, then decide if you want your kids to watch it. But just to sort of preface with that, what I will say is, yes, I have made a lot of videos on abortion. There's a lot of them on my channel, and I'm not going to sort of slow that down or apologize for that, because it is the biggest and most genuine issue in our world right now. It just is. It's legal mass murder. So it's something that absolutely needs to be talked about, especially when it comes to our Catholic faith. Now, once again, the fact that abortion is immoral and it is the murder and slaughter of an innocent baby, of millions of innocent babies, is not just my opinion, but the official stance of the Catholic Church. So, while yes, even if I wasn't Catholic, I would still believe it. Don't get me wrong. Catholicism is still the truth. Catholicism is still the one true religion, and therefore the teachings of it are true as well, such as abortion, with abortion being an intrinsic evil, that it is evil regardless. So, Catholic churches were targeted this past weekend as a means for attack. There were rumors several days before that there would be pro-choice, I like to call them pro-murder because that's what they are, protesters and vandalizers and just absolutely insane people trying to break into the church, trying to do things to the mass. Now, there weren't a ton, but there were way too many attacks. And then again, I can guarantee you that I'm not aware of all of them. But some of the attacks that I am aware of is the church in Boulder, Colorado was vandalized. There was a church in New York City in which was luckily defended by the men outside the church, and nobody, at least I'm almost positive, ever got into the church doors. In LA, there was a mass had to be stopped because there were protesters swarming inside. It's just absolutely disgusting to see, which is illegal, by the way. We have a right to worship, and to worship the one true God, and so anybody interrupting mass in any way, shape, or form is illegal. What I want to sort of focus on is what we as Catholics can do now. What can we do in our pro-life position? What I will say is that the pro-murder side of this is it's absolutely ridiculous. It just is. And then there's no going around this. There was a protester in New York City who was outside the Basilica of St. Patrick's Old Cathedral who was dangling a baby doll, yelling, "I'm killing the babies," as she led a march of demonstrators targeting the Catholic Church. She led that march. That's who their leader was someone dangling a baby doll, yelling, "I'm killing the babies," who also said, "God killed his son, why can't I?" Which there's a lot to unpack from that sentence. I'm sure I don't have to explain. I'm sure you know why that is messed up in every way, shape, and form. But first of all, admitting literally right there that it's a child that you are killing, because I thought their whole argument is trying to say that it's not a child, but it is, and scientifically it is, and biologically it is. There's no debate about it, or there shouldn't be any debate about it. But then again, comparing Christ's crucifixion and his sacrifice on the cross to an abortion is just absolutely morally wrong and evil. And that's what this comes down to, is there's a lot of intrinsic evil and a lack of morality in the pro-murder argument. There just is. And in the pro-murder movement as a whole. Because there were vandalized signs on the church in Boulder that said things like, "Keep religion off our bodies." "My body, my choice." "Abortion saves lives," which that is just the most opposite. It's opposite day. Abortion saves lives. No, abortion murders millions and millions of lives. Guys, at the end of the day, what we as Catholics need to understand is that abortion, that true evil that is significantly the worst evil we've seen in our lives, right? The worst evil in this country of abortion, of millions and millions being murdered, that's not going to stop unless we are able to stand up and defend. Unless we are able to stand up and defend against the pro-murder movement. Now, I'm not saying that we are to be rude to anybody who's pro-murder or be just a bad person to them, because sure, some of them might have good intentions. But the reality is that even if it's a wonderful person who is pro-choice, that is still, that the act of believing that, of siding with abortion, of being okay with that, is absolutely ludicrous. It wasn't just churches that were attacked, though. There was vandalism in pregnancy resource centers, like centers for helping the woman and the baby. It's a big thing right now to target the pro-life, not right now, just in general, to target the pro-life movement and say that like the pro-life movement doesn't care about the women. The pro-life movement only wants the child to be born, and then they just forget about the woman, forget about the child. Well, the thing is, I guarantee you, if you walked into an abortion clinic and asked for diapers, asked for food, asked for all sorts of things for the woman and the child, you wouldn't be able to get that. But the Wisconsin Pro-Life Center, which does offer all sorts of wonderful resources for women, and does offer things like that, absolutely got attacked. Molotov cocktail was thrown at it, which is just like absolutely ludicrous. The Catholic Church isn't just under attack either. Specifically, the sacraments within the Catholic Church. God himself, in which a tabernacle was stolen in Houston. Now, technically speaking, there isn't a clear, direct relation to everything going on with Roe v. Wade, but it is somewhat pretty evident that that is why the tabernacle was stolen, was because of what is going on with Roe v. Wade. The reality is that we are under attack, and it is our time to stand up and defend the truth that we know to be true, which is that abortion is murder. So all this saying that like one side is just pro-birth and just antagonistic and just hateful toward women, when that's the side being loving and trying to care for the women during and after her pregnancy, it doesn't make any sense, and it really doesn't. And then to have the Wisconsin Pro-Life Center attacked when it's trying to do just that, when it's trying to help the woman, it's just completely, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all, and we're seeing the church, and we're seeing people, and we're seeing innocent lives under attack for it. But the reality is, guys, the people that are being murdered, the unborn babies that are being murdered, they don't have, they can't defend themselves. They can't speak up for themselves. They are physically incapable of it. Not because they're not people, because they're babies, right? Just as an infant would be incapable of sticking up for itself. It's still a living baby, right? Just incapable of speaking up for itself. So we need to speak up for them, for the millions of lives that are consistently lost. Here's the deal. Whatever way we want to look at it, like there isn't an issue that's more significant right now than abortion. And as Catholics, we need to be willing to defend this, and we need to understand that sure, we may take some flack for it, but the reality is it's the truth. If we're Catholic, if we are Catholic and we know that we're Catholic and we want to be Catholic and we believe the teachings of the church, we know them to be true, yet we support abortion, we're contradicting ourselves in the essence. We need to understand the true teachings of the Catholic Church, and if we are to be a true devout Catholic, then we would agree with them, and we would acknowledge that abortion is murder. We would work to outlaw it. This isn't to say that you have to be religious to be pro-life, however. Like that's not the case. Obviously, there are many people who are secular and pro-life. That's a big misconception that somehow it's just the Catholic Church and it's evil, right? Like just trying to hate on women. Like it's just absolutely insane to see that even be offered. But nevertheless, like yes, you don't have to be religious to be pro-life. Obviously, I think that misconception is horrendous and only deteriorates the pro-life movement. However, this does not mean that abortion should just be entirely separated from the faith, that it shouldn't have anything to do with religion, because it absolutely should, because the Catholic Church absolutely defends those rights of unborn babies, a right to life, right? We've seen so many times throughout history, in American history, people fighting for a right to vote, fighting for a right to... What we're fighting for these unborn children is a right to live, which is like the just simplest of all we can ask for. The reality is they may call us pro-birth as much as they want, but the reality is every abortion is a forced birth. It's just a forced birth of a dead baby. And that's what we need to understand. So with the Catholic churches under attack across the country, with vandalism on Catholic churches spiking, with literally God himself and the Eucharist being stolen, yes, absolutely, prayers are significant. That's one thing we can do is absolutely pray, because prayer is so underrated in terms of how powerful it is. I feel like we're so used to it being such a cliche answer that it's like, oh yeah, just pray about it, that we kind of forget that prayer actually has power. Prayer has power in every sense of the word. So absolutely prayer, but then absolutely standing up and defending the truth that abortion is murder. Then when it comes to Roe v. Wade, which again, it's just sending it back to the states. Unfortunately, it's not like outlawing abortion altogether across the country. They're just going to have to drive to maybe a different state to kill their child, which you shouldn't be allowed to do at all. So it's still the biggest advancement we've had in the pro-life movement in 50 years. And again, it's not official yet. It's the leak of a draft opinion, which kind of makes it sound like it's not happening. No, it is. That's how the justices voted, as long as they don't change their mind, and hopefully the public outcry doesn't make them change their mind. Regardless, sending it back to the states, it is a huge step forward in the pro-life movement. The biggest the pro-life movement has seen in 50 years, and it really is going toward seeing abortion for what it truly is, which is murder. It's not the termination of a pregnancy. It's not the forcing women to give birth. It's not the my body, my choice. The reality is it's not their body. It is the baby's body, which absolutely has a right to life. So now that the topic is done, do y'all know what it's time for now? It's time for
the Saint of the Week.
And today's Saint of the Week is Saint Margaret of Cortona. Now, her story is actually really interesting, and her feast day is coming up here in just about a week. So, this is Tuesday, the next Monday, as of when this video is released, is when her feast day is. That is May 16th. Now, Saint Margaret of Cortona is definitely a story of conversion. She grew up Tuscan and was a rebellious teen growing up. She actually ran away from her home with a man that she had met, and she ran away from her home and stayed away from her home for quite a while. They lived separately. They had a kid together until one day her lover at the time was murdered. So she ended up going back home where she entirely repented to her father, tried to rejoin her initial family, but her father rejected her and her son, which imagine being in that absolutely horrifying situation as a single mother, not knowing what to do. She ended up walking to Cortona, where she there met friars. She was incredibly influenced by them, ended up converting to Catholicism, dedicating her life to a life of purity, a life of love for Christ. She actually ended up founding a Franciscan female order there in Cortona as well. She absolutely dedicated her life to Christ. It was said that sometimes people would even have to talk her into moderating her self-denial a little bit better. She was so harsh on herself, all out of penance and all out of self-sacrifice and all out of love for God, which is absolutely incredible. Her son ended up growing up and becoming a friar himself, and as Margaret was absolutely devoted to the Eucharist and to the Passion of Jesus Christ. She ended up founding a hospital there, which is absolutely incredible as well. She was absolutely just the embodiment of selflessness and charitableness, all because of the love of God. Took her from that terrible situation, not knowing where to go, to an absolutely loving situation where she ended up dying a happy death and was canonized in 1728, which is absolutely incredible. And when we're talking about an issue like abortion, when we're talking about people claiming that the pro-lifers don't care for the woman, that they don't care for the woman after she's given birth, when we're looking at a single mother in St. Margaret of Cortona who was scared, who didn't know where to turn, she found her home in the Catholic faith, and she found her love in the Catholic faith. And I can guarantee you that there are so many more stories like that, because the faith is that. The faith is love. The faith is home, because the faith is true. And if it weren't true, then it wouldn't be those things. But luckily, our Catholic faith is the one true religion, the one true faith. So, St. Margaret of Cortona, pray for us. So before you guys click off this video, we are so close. We may have even hit it by the time this is posted. I don't know. But we are so close to 6,000 subscribers. It really does help this ministry to grow. It may not seem like much, but it does help this ministry to reach more people. So it's free. It's easy. It won't spam your email or anything. To set up an account is free and easy. So please do click the red subscribe button down below. Also, I am not just a YouTuber. I'm also a Catholic speaker. So if you want to invite me to come and speak to your church, youth group, school, event, men's group, women's group, whatever it might be, please email me directly at kidcatholic1@gmail.com or go to my website, kidcatholic.com, click the contact me page and email me from there. Please go to my website, kidcatholic.com. In general, there's so many awesome things you can do on there. On my radio, or some of my radio shows are up there. All my videos are up there. Your very own Kid Catholic shop is up there. So please go check that out. Please comment any saint or topic suggestions that you might have for future videos. Please like the video, and please check out all three of my social medias, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. The link to all three of those will be in the description down below. Once again, I hope that you all are having as minimal stressful end to your school year as possible. And to the class of 2022, I hope that your guys' graduations or upcoming graduations are going phenomenal. Once again, this was Keaton of Kid Catholic. I will see you all next week, and hi, Brielle.